Hi folks, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be doing a bandsaw cutout of Lazy Ray, and he will be in the description on this video where you can print off your pattern to do this guy, and so I hope that you'll join us. This guy here is out of basswood, and I cut him out on the bandsaw, and he's 5¼ inch tall, and he's 1¼ inch wide. And again, he will be in the description in the link below where you can print off this Lazy Ray. And he's a fun little guy to do. Again, for beginner carvers, we're not carving any ears or hands. But what's going to take time is us taking the real estate in between the legs here. And now you don't have to put the cut there for the legs. You can just take your V-tool and do that. But anyway, we're going to get started here today on this guy and on Lazy Ray. Let's see if we can get a Lazy Ray to come out of this piece of wood. All right. So we're going to take the largest V-tool, and I'm going to separate the hat from the head here. And we're working again from a bandsaw cutout. This is not a rough out. And we are going to put in these cuts that are important to remove a lot of real estate. And so we're cutting in the shoulder here. All right. And so let me get my pencil here. So this right about in here is going to be the nose area. Okay. But so we're going to try to create a 90-degree angle. And so we're going to try to work our wood right up to that point there if we can, and to create the facial features on Lazy Ray. Taking my knife, making my cuts across the top here where the hat and head joins. Now this here is the hair of the back of the hair. All right, again, we're going to make a cut there. And I'm going to do it a couple more times here to make sure that we've got our stop cuts in the right place. You can cut that out. The wood gave away and about went into my finger. Anyway, so we're making our cuts across the shoulder. Now we're going to focus right now on, now remember, don't do the hat until toward the last, because if you thin this brim out, okay, this brim right here, you're going to probably pop that off or accidentally cut it off or something. So leave the hat toward the last if you possibly can. Again, we're working from a 5-inch, about a 5¼ inch tall piece of wood, and about 1¼ inch thickness there on this guy. And I think it's good to, this is how I create a rough out, is I cut it out on a bandsaw, and then I use a front and side profile. I don't, when I'm doing a character. And so, anyway. And so as I create this, if this was going to be for a rough out, I'm creating the master for it. And that way, and I don't put a whole lot of detail in a rough out. Just the basic features of the body. We're downsizing the head, the beard area, and all this. We're working our way up the side here. Taking my V-tool, setting the shoulders in. I'm going to take my knife here and start outlining the forearm and the front of the arm. Again, their hands are going to be in their pocket. All right. Let's remove some of this real estate off of here. See if we can find Lazy Ray in this thing. Now, you don't have to undercut because I'm wanting to make the beard stand out from the body. Now, you don't have to when you draw this out on your wood. You can keep that tucked close to the chest where you don't have to cut in between there, between the chest and the beard if you're not comfortable in doing that with your bandsaw. All right. All right, make sure that our stop cuts are in here because we're going to get ready to remove some wood from the inside. Of the arm. Because our body is divided up in threes. And so right now I'm focusing on the torso area, the arms, the chest area right now to get that down to where it needs to be. Okay. Then you can take a V-tool and come in and start cleaning up in between the arms there. Working our way down the leg. Now again, be careful here as you're approaching the feet. Again, because you know you've cut in between the legs here, and they could be a little bit weak. You never know, depending on the grain of the wood. So. Downsizing. Now we're seeing where the side of the hat is coming out now. Again, we're working our way in toward this center line right there on their carving. Here's right back here is the back of the hair. Get that kind of tucked under. These hillbillies didn't know what a barber was much. Or most of the time they just cut their own hair. Probably Ma cut their hair for them. Maybe even Pa did, who knows, but saved you money. Someone cut your own hair at the house. A lot of people did that. You know, I like working all over a piece, whether it's a bandsaw cutout or a rough out. I try not to stay in one area very long. Because we're not careful, those carve areas that we don't need to be carving. All right, now we're going to put the back of the arm here in. And on this one here that I semi got done, you'll see here, this is kind of a stair-step approach that we're doing. And you can see there where the hand placement is. That's what we're going for, okay? Now, as we approach this here, as we approach this from the back, we want to make sure that you leave enough for his backside, okay? His back 40. And because if you're not careful, when you're cutting these out, we don't leave enough derriere back here, all right? Especially on this one here. We'll make our cut here, and we'll make our cut here. Rounding it off. So we're going to remove a lot here in the center of the back. That way it will help us to get the arms exposed more. Okay. Okay, come over to this side and relieve this down also. Okay. Again, you know, probably cut 2 or 3 or 4 of these guys out in a row. That way, you'll see an improvement on the second and the third or fourth or fifth one that you've done. And again, a lot of people get into carving. I think the biggest thing about discouragement in carving is your tools are not sharp. And again, second thing is I think people get too big of a hurry and they're wanting to be a expert carver in, you know, less than a year or whatever. Now there may be some people out here who are like that, but for the rest of us, it took a while, and I'm still learning. So don't compare yourself, and don't compare your other carvings against other carvings. You know, don't. It's like, oh, I wish that looked like I wish mine looked like that. Well, you know, they probably thought that too at the time. So just keep cutting away. It will come. Okay, we're working here, trying to clean up the back of that arm there. Got a little thin here, but that's all right. He's a skinny hillbilly. Again, we're working all over. So, as we're making our way down through here, the grain changes here a little bit because the foot. Now you can enlarge this pattern and make him as wide or as tall as you want. But this is a decent size one to hold in your hand. It's not too big and it's not too small. So I think it's a pretty good size for you to try at home. All right, I'm going to stop and look at him here a little bit. All right, we're making some progress. Again, you may have to set him down and go do something else, you know, and come back to him. If you're having a block, they call it a woodcarver's block, or they used to call them writer's block. You know, yeah, put it down and go do something else. Or do something more simpler, whatever. But don't get discouraged by what you're not seeing. Okay. Yeah, we got this arm a little too thin back here, but that's all right. That happens. All right, now we're going to come in here and do a little leg work. Now again, as you are working from one leg to the other, pay attention to where that blade is going, that tip of that blade, as you put it inside here, because it's going to go over this leg if you're not careful, and you're going to be chewing up the inside of his leg. So just take your time through here. All right. And yeah, you may hit it a few times, but try to always pay attention to where that blade's going. And from the back here, work from the back also. Working our way in. And again, as you get closer inside the legs, remember what's on the other side of the legs is your fingers. So be careful there. Stop and turn, go this way. Make every cut count. Just don't bury that knife in there and hope it comes out. Look the best that you can where it's going and what it's doing. Okay? So. Now we're going to come down and create start shaping our leg and shoe area. And I'm putting a cut here on the side of his pants. This is going to be the back of the heel of the shoe. And this is separation from his pants to the shoe there. Okay. Inch by inch, it's the cinch. Just got to keep at it. Okay, let's work on this side. Create the separation from the jeans, the heel of the shoe. Now again, remember, and I'm reminding myself, that as you thin these legs, there's nothing between them now to hold them together. Okay, so anyway, it's food for thought. All right, let's take more here from this side of his body and to the elbow crease there. Okay, deepen that a little bit. Yeah, there we go. We're going to come down a little bit right here and extend that arm down a little bit to match the other side. Cutting up the side here, the beard now. Because, I mean, I jump from one place to the other. That may, I don't like to stay in one place very long. That's going to be the tip of his nose right there. Okay. And don't be intimidated by this project like this. If you're a beginner or intermediate, jump off here and give it a try. You may be surprised how well it turns out for you. And like I said, that's why you need to cut 2 or 3 or up to 6 of these out at a time, if you have the wood to do it, and carve. And you'll see it. You will see a difference in each one that you carve. And that's how you learn. Compare them then afterwards. Set them out, line them up, and look at things that you can improve on, whether it be the eyes or the ear, or if you decide to put an ear on this guy, or a foot, or whatever it may be, or the shape of his hat. You could take this hat off and make just a regular head on this guy. So you don't have to keep to the pattern. Change it up. I always like seeing people's work when they email me something that they've done. And it's so neat to see other people's ideas and perspectives. Because I don't have it all down, you know, and I don't know if anybody who else does. So we're all just learning together. All right, now I'm going to try to work on a shoe here. You can see here in the camera how we've got to get that big foot down to this little foot, all right? So that's why I cut everything out big. Cut everything out big. Now, let me show you something here on the bottom and to help with perspectives of a shoe. Okay. So these are the corners we want to take off. This is where the heel and the sole starts separating. And that way, kind of have an idea. Okay, that's close enough. And again, we're working. You see my foot is moving some whenever I'm putting that pressure on there. So, I mean, it could decide, you know what, I don't want to be here no more. I'm going to leave you, Van. And it could break off right there. So we'll see. We'll try not to. Do our best. This is why we got to pay attention to our cuts. Make sure that blade is going where we want it to go, if possible. And you know, you can leave these shoes as thick as you want. They're your shoes. If you want a big old footed feller, just leave them, you know. Because hillbillies were already, they always made fun of hillbillies having big feet, you know. Okay. Cut the edges off there. Work our way up. All right. Well, he's taking shape. See, we got a ways to go, so be patient. Stop for a second, just in case. I'm thinking, could we maybe if it gets to the point to where I'm running out of time, can we maybe come back and pick it up?
Yeah, I'm just doing this so that when I'm scanning through the footage, I have a cut spot.
Okay.
Normally, I keep when I'm on a wedding day. If I see a clip that's really good, I probably need to have it of it. I've seen other professionals start to do this, and I try to take tips and stuff. They'll have their lens cover, and if they get it, if they're doing a really long recording and there's a moment that's really good, they'll take their lens cover and put it over their deal. So when they're scanning through their footage of hours and hours, they can see oh, there's a good clip that was right before this.
Anyway, I don't know yet, but I'm just thought.
Sure. Yeah,
you know,
I mean, there's no reason we couldn't. We
just pick it up again some other day. But I want to get a little
further.
further.
We'll count this up anyway, so
yeah.
As long as the only odd in the camera, it'll go from a dirty background to maybe a fairly clean background or something. But
I wouldn't even notice that. I don't think.
Oh, okay. So.
Well.
Yeah, we can always just.
Yeah. Okay. All right, so anyway, we are going to take our V-tool here and again, work that arm in there. Working that torso in. Getting it shaped. Now here I'm jumping down here again on the legs. And making sure that I'm getting the correct cut there. Okay. Working in between the legs, or the feet here. Try to get some space in between there. Now we're not going to give it a whole lot of separation because you can see here in the finished one, not a whole lot of space in there. So when you put the heels in with your V-tool, you're not going to be able to go all the way in when you're putting the heels in and the sole. So now you can take your pattern and you can expand him out wider to where he can have a wider stance on this. Again, I just come up with this a while back, and I just thought, well, this would be a neat project, I think, for y'all to break you in on a bandsaw cutout. Cut your teeth on it, so to speak. All right, we're getting what we call a peekaboo hole in between the legs where you can see light, and I would encourage you to do that. Just don't just put a V-tool down the middle of his legs. Open them up, and get some daylight, get some action going on there. Even, if this was, if I took my time, we could put even a peekaboo hole in his arms here, between the arms and things. So, but anyway, so we're gonna try to match this side. We got way a little too thin over here on this one side, but that's all right. When I was in high school, I had to carve this guy out. Well, not this one, but something similar to him. And I was so tickled with him. I put a fish hook eyelet and hung him from my rearview mirror. I was so tickled with him how he came out. So you can even make this guy into a Christmas ornament. Hang him on your tree or set him on your desk, whatever. But anyway, just have fun. This is your carving. You can put whatever colors on him you want, or take the beard off, put just a regular face, take the hat off, and that's neat about this. Okay, now I'm going to try to work on this other boot, try to get down to its size. Turn the end of the shoe up, like, you know, it's been out in the weather and the toe turned up. The old sun drew it up. It was laying flat on the ground, but now the toe just creeped up on him. Now we're going to come in, create the little cut that we have right there to show separation. Shift it this way. There we go. There we go. Okay, bring this shoe down some more, try to match the other shoe. You know, I was thinking the other day, you know, I know some people, they can't draw very well or can't draw at all, and I'm on the other end of that stick there. I'm not a very good drawer, but you know, you got to have an idea in your head for, and that's why I'm always on the lookout for anything. I watch people. I'm looking at magazines. I pay attention when I'm in a store or something sticks out that could give me an idea to carve. You know, whether you're going to your local hunting store or whatever it may be. Always keep your eye open for something that would be a neat idea to make a carving from or about. You know, used to in the papers, you know, you'd see these cartoonish ads, you know, especially around the holiday season, you could get some ideas for Santa Claus and snowmen and things like that there. All right, now we're going in between here and creating the heel. All right, by taking that and there we are. Okay. Now remember, he's wearing either overalls or just a pair of jeans, and so they're not going to be pretty. You know, we may even put a hole in his knee here where he's got snagged on a rose bush or some barbed wire or gaucho wire or something. And so now let's stop there. We've got the legs open. We've got the shoes basically shaped. So let's work on the facial features now. And then when we get that done, we'll just work on the hat and see if we can wind this thing up. That's my goal. All right, so now on him here, we're going to continue to do the same type of cuts we did on our facial expressions that we do. And be careful here as you go up, because you're going with the grain, and the grain could give away and you could lose your nose. And so pay attention there. Okay. Now we're going to take a 3 millimeter gouge, and we're going to come down halfway to the nose, about next to the nose area, and create the bridge. Okay. Remove those two pieces. All right, remove that. Then come out here to the edge where you start with the U-gouge and go straight in. Okay, now we want to split his forehead. I'm going to come in here with my knife. Now, again, that's up to you how you would like to do the mustache. So we're just going to put, maybe this one here. I don't know if I'll put a mustache or any just yet. We'll see. We'll see. Creating our planes of our mouth. And now we're going to take our V tool and connect right here and come up and to create the side of the cheeks and side of the forehead, like that there. Okay. Take our knife, make a stop cut to what you just did. Bring it right up to the top of the hat. Boom, right there. Then you're going to try to create this face to fit up into the head, the head to fit up into the hat a little bit better. That way it doesn't look like it's just a straight cut through there. You've got it sunk in the temples there on the side. All right. And now we're going to create some cheeks here for this guy. Come under here with your knife and be careful. Create the crook of the nose on that side. And now we're going to put a mustache that's turned upright. And just take your pencil, set it back a little bit, look at it, and just rough it in. It doesn't have to look perfect. Just take your V tool, outline what you did there with your pencil. Turn it. Go this way, around the corner, up the hill. There you go. Okay, then take your knife, make a stop cut, what you just covered here with your V-tool. Using the tip only, don't bury that whole thing in there because you'll tear out more real estate than you want. Okay, get that mustache to stick out a little bit there from the beard. Okay, so now let's work on this side. Remember to breathe. Take your time. Visiting the temple here. Match this side the best that we can. There we go. That's looking much better. Extend this smile line to create the crook of the nose. And we're just going to turn and create the mustache, the cheek area here. Okay. Okay, let's take a brush to that. Okay. Now, since this is a pretty small face, we're going to have to do some eyes. Or you could paint them on without carving them in, but I'm going to try to carve them in, and I would encourage you to try to carve them in too. But I'm going to take this shoe down here. Let's work on these shoes for a little bit. Let's get these out of our hair, and that way we can move on. Give our face a break up here. Again, like I said, I like working all over a carving. Okay. If you want to, you can even take a U-gouge, come across here, and create that little divot through there where our shoes turn up, or if you got a knife that can carve all that out, why, just get at it. So give a little action in your shoes. And again, remember, these are used shoes. These are shoes that he goes to church in and goes to town in, goes coon hunting in, and all these things that he enjoys doing. Being out there with his favorite dog or whatever, or favorite girl, whatever it may be. He don't have a whole lot, but he does have common sense. All right, so take our knife here. Now let's take our V-tool, like a 1/8 V-tool, and create the sole right up the side there. There you go. Right around the front. Now because his feet are together, you won't be able to do a whole lot in between here. Okay, so don't get all hung up there. Now, if you make your pattern wider where he's standing wider, then you could take your cut all the way around in the back side there. Okay. All right. There they are. Okay. All right. Now, let's work a little bit here, getting the head and hair shaped. We're pretty much symmetrical here. They're not one side leaning to the other. One side is leaning the other way. And so, and then let's put in a pocket here where his hand is going into the pocket by leaning your V tool on its side in a way. And that gives it the effect that that hand is going in to the pocket there. Okay. All right, now let's turn him over. Let's do the other side. Now, take it this way. Turn that V tool, lay it on its side, and make a cut. And that gives you a look like there's his hand's going into something there. All right. All right, now let's work on the hat here. You can see we have to get quite a bit down there, so let's try that. Switch to another blade, give me a little more leverage there where I can reach out, get some things done. Again, as you carve more, you're going to find what tools work best for you in your hands. Because mine might be different. My knife may not work in your hand at best. So whatever tools you have, use them, and you'll see. And just because I have a certain tool doesn't mean your tools won't work. All right, you don't have to have what I have. So you're going to find that, over time, you're going to come up with your own style of carving and your own select tools that you just love to use, and you wouldn't trade those tools for anything. So, all right. I think we're getting down. We're just basically got the eyes left to do, and a little bit of the hat here, and got to put the overhauls. And so we'll be done here shortly. So I think we're going to be all right. Okay, you can see where we're at so far. Now I'm not going to thin this down, the brim of the hat, until I get it shaped the way I want. And then I'll come in and we'll start thinning it. This will be toward the end of our project. As I've learned through experience not to do the hat too early. And because some of it will leave you. If you put your finger or thumb in the right position, it will leave you. All right. Okay, I'm going to start shaping this hat this way. Put the crook on this side. Because some hats, they were bent over. And others were tall. Some were short. So whatever. It's your hat. You make it how you like. And who says there's not a hat out there like that? The one you just got done creating. Okay, now I'm going to take this number 9 gouge and I'm going to start thinning our brim here. And as I'm going, I'm taking off some of the front here because there's a lot of thickness right in here. And that's when you cut these out, you know, you want to make sure your brim is thick enough, because you can always carve it down. Because if you make it too thin when you're cutting it out on the bandsaw, it could break off. So make the thickness of your brim of your hat's important. Because you can, like I said, you can always take the wood away. Can't add it on. See how I'm coming in here and making these rough cuts on this hat? Working our way around the hat. Okay. Start getting the bandsaw cuts off here. And be careful as you're working under the hat brim here, as you're trying to do a little more separation here from the hair. So be careful. I'm going to put it on the table here where I can get the best and safest cut. You never know what this wood's thinking. You want to draw it down back here in the back. That way the water can run off the back of it when he's out there in the rain. You don't want the water standing on your head. You want it to drip off the back. Make sure that the brim goes way past the pockets back there, because you don't want a pocket full of rain, pocket full of water. So when you're wearing your hillbilly hat, make sure that it is way past your pockets. A lot to think about. Okay, let's stop and look at that for a little bit. Yeah, I'm liking the looks of that hat. All right, now let's start putting the eyes in, a few little details, things like that there. All right, here we go on the eyes. Let's take our pencil, drawing in. Okay, I'm going to take my 1/16 V and up the hill and down the hill. Okay. Okay, just like that there. Okay, let's go over here to this side. And let's do the same thing. Hopefully, the wood will let us. Creating the upper lid. All right, now I'm going to take my knife, my detail knife, and come in and make 6 cuts to each eye. There's 1 and 2 and 3. And I know it's hard for you to see, but try and get it up here where you can. But you can always watch my videos on how to make this eye if you can't see how I'm doing it here. Because my hands are covering up because it's kind of a small project. All right, very good. So far, so good. The eyes have it. All right, we got our eyeballs in. Now we need to come in and put in the bottom lid. When I get this done, I'll show it to you here close. Extend the crow's feet out a little bit. Like that there. Okay, let's come in, put a little bit of a action right there below the mustache where the mustache divides. Put this cut in a little mouth right there. Okay, all right. And then you can come up here, put in just a hint of eyebrows. Or you can paint them on, whichever's easiest for you to do. Try them. Try them. All right, come back and visit this hat here a little bit. And we need to take some more off of this side. Sorry, got out of camera focus there, or out of frame. We'll put a little divot right there in his hat. Break that up a little bit. Wonderful. All right, now let's put on some overhauls. And bring them down like so. Put in the little zipper right there. Come around the back here. Do that. Come right to the front there. All right, take our V-tool, connect them with the pocket that you created earlier for the hand. And we're going to go right up the side here, up and over. And now we got to do some more back here in the back, so we got to put those in, the little straps to connect everything. So here and there. Okay, you can see that. So let's take our V-tool and put in the inner parts of the strap there that would go up by the shirt there. Now, if you want to, you could put a few pockets back here or a patch, and just have fun, Again, it's a hillbilly. He dressed pretty rough, and he might even have a hole in his pocket, hole in his drawers, So whatever you'd like there. But whatever it is, put it pretty good size. People a lot of times put too small pockets on characters. So, and dress that down a little bit there. There we go. Wonderful. Do the front. Run your V-tool right along the side there to create the straps. Up and over it. You could even take this pattern and make him 10 inches tall, so you would think about your base would need to be about 2.5, 3 inches wide. So if you're going to be doing this guy in a larger project. So again, You make him however tall you'd like, or as fat as you'd like, or as skinny as you like. Then up here in the front, you could put a little indication that there's action there, and maybe even a big old pocket right here. There. Now, let's put in some hair. Remember, V-tool for roughness, for a rough-looking hillbilly. Turn and twist every which way. Now, some folks, they'll not even carve any hair on it, just paint them the way they are. But I like adding a little bit of hair to our pieces. Now, since that beard is hanging out, maybe it's flopping in the wind, you know. So get in there and see how the bold cuts I'm making there on that feller. Don't be afraid, just to get in there and make some happy cuts right through there. Just old Lazy Ray. Like I said, he'll be in the description, the pattern for it, and link below of the video. And when you get one card, send me an email. Let me look at it. I enjoy seeing people's work, whether it's something you got off my channel or you come up with something on your own. I had a guy yesterday, he just sent me some pictures of shorebirds that he did from his own state of Ohio. And I didn't even think about Ohio having shorebirds, but so you never know. I am not a bird carver, but he did some beautiful work. Take my knife here now and cut these areas here. And let's stick with our 1/8 V here. And again, you're going to break up the edges. Right up underneath that hat there, where the hair is coming out. Twist and turn, turn and twist. Push and shove and get right up in there. Yeah, there we go. Take your knife and you're going to cut these in that way. Now the colors of this guy, you can paint whatever you'd like. So come in, put some creases here and there, some twists and turns in his shirt, and give him some action in these places. Kind of breaks things up, all right? And you can put a cuff here if you want to of a shirt, like so. All right. And, you know, you could put some distressing marks here in his shoes, you know, because the shoes are rough looking. Just come in and just mar things up a little bit. And, you know, if you want to put a seam right here, here's a seam you can put in on the sides. Right there. And take your knife and relieve that. You can do that on jeans or overalls. Same thing. Put your cut right there. Bring it down. Whichever way the wood will let you. Relieve that. Just adds. And too, you know, if you want to, you can put cuffs here if you want to on his pants. And that way you can just adds more character to him. All right. All right, let's get rid of this cuts up in here. And we'll be about done, I believe. And, you know, there'll be things you'll need to tweak, you know, so stop and look at it. There'll be things I'll do here when we're off the air here, and I'll look and I'll tweak. But anyway, there's old Lazy Ray. Do nothing, Lazy Ray. Well, folks, we created here today old Lazy Ray, and I hope that you've enjoyed him today. And again, we'd love to hear from you. Get the pattern on the description link below, and we look forward to seeing you, and happy carving.